Hello guys, my name's Dave and welcome to the Weird Kid Show. Today we've got another prop for you. This one's going to be a little bit more involved. Okay, let me show you what I got here. Have you seen these guys? I know you have, because it seems like within the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, it's been a trend to sell skeletons. They've got skeleton snakes, skeleton mermaids, skeleton fish, eels, human skeletons, skeletons for everything. This is a skeleton of an oversized rat. I never would have bought this at retail, but I found it at Goodwill, I think last year, for like $2, and I said, you know what, I'll use it for something. And that something is now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn him into a woodland creature, like a mystical, humanoid type mystical creature. And we're going to use all kinds of different techniques to accomplish that. I have a vision and an idea, but I don't exactly know how it's going to translate. So, good or bad or indifferent, I'm bringing you along if you're interested. So, again, welcome. It's great to have you here. Let's get into this thing, shall we? Now, what I was thinking of doing with this guy is turning him into like a mystical woodland creature. Something with robes and earthy tones and maybe even like a wooden cane. Maybe like, I don't know, Yoda keeps coming into mind, you know? Maybe there's this whole race of these things in the forest somewhere, and but I'm not satisfied with his posturing, okay? So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these legs off. And I'm going to cut the foot off, all right? And then I think I'm going to use some of my heavy gauge wire to create him some longer legs. And I'm going to mount him to a wooden base. And I'm going to attach the wire to the feet. All right, and we're going to cover that after. And then I think I'm going to do the same thing to the arms, okay? I can already tell you that I'm going to be creating him some teeth. We're going to do away with these. I'm going to get rid of these teeth. And I'm going to drill these eyes out. I'm going to put some eyeballs in there, okay? Now we're going to corpse this thing, but it's not going to be a corpse. It's going to be its skin, because I think I might add hair afterwards. But before we get too far ahead, first things first. Base, remove legs, make him taller with thick wire, extend his arms. Then we'll come back and I'll explain you exactly how the process went, all right? Check back here in a sec. All right, guys, so we're back. And you know, I wanted to pull back on the reins a bit. Just talk about these legs before I start getting into these arms, okay? So one thing at a time. So what I did was I removed the legs, okay? I ended up, this is what the old legs looked like. As you remember, it was like in a crouching position, but now I made him like bipedal. So yeah, so I removed the legs, and there was actually a hole where they had put a screw in there from the inside at the manufacturer's. So that worked out good because I already had a hole there. And what I did was I had this base already with this dowel. I drilled a hole in the base of the tail, and then used that to give it some support. And then with the feet, there was also holes drilled into it, so that was good too. So then I took this wire, which you've seen, I've been using this a lot in the tutorials lately. It's heavy gauge wire. It's used for drop ceilings to hang them. Okay, it's really rigid. It bends, but it's strong enough to hold, okay? And this was perfect for this. You could probably get away with using coat hangers. I found coat hangers at the dollar store for $1 for a bundle. So that's a good backup plan as well. Keep it cheap. So what I did was I ran the wire completely through, and then I bent it, and then I just had to kind of play with it to decide how tall I wanted this guy. Alright, and then I used the feet that already had holes. I drilled a hole in the base, just a hair smaller than the wire, which ended up being a 3/32 bit, which is super tiny, okay? But it's just a hair smaller than this wire, which is what we want so that we can pry it in there to get a good snug fit, so it's gonna stay in there, okay? But what I did was I had a little piece of short wire here that I used to just find the hole so that I could glue these feet down to the base first. Alright, now these feet are overhanging. This base might be considered too small to some. I'm gonna see how it all looks at the end. If it looks like it's sticking out too much and it doesn't work for the whole thing, then I'm gonna expand on this base, which we'll address that when we get there. I know a way of already doing that if I need to do it. So yes, and then what I did was I used a mixture of super glue and hot glue, okay? Once everything wasn't together, I put some glue all around to secure all the joints. So he's pretty secure, alright? I can hold him like this. He's not gonna go nowhere. So at this point in time, I would almost treat him like you ever see those oddities that are the articulated skeletons where they take like an animal skeleton and they put the wires through it and they articulate it. It's made to be put on a shelf. So this is sturdy enough, but at the same time we're going to want to be gentle with it, okay? Alright, so there are our legs. I gave him like a very slight bend at the knee. Alright, there's his tail. I kind of just left it. It's got wire now, we can pose it, so we're going to see what we're going to do with that. So then the next step here is I'm going to go ahead and do the arms. Now I'd already cut the arms off, and basically I just did away with everything except for the hands. We're going to reuse the hands. I'm not going to pay attention to the direction that the arms originally were mounted. I'm going to have to create an actual arm, which this is a good example of what I'm playing around with, okay? So I was thinking of drilling it in here to give it a bit of a shoulder, and then a bend for an elbow, and then kind of decide where the hand's gonna go, and then decide on positioning, okay? I think I might have this guy holding a staff or a cane. I don't know. That's the beauty part. This is what's exciting, is I just don't know. I'm making this stuff up as I go along, and it's fun. I have no idea where it's going, but I'm making discoveries as we're going along. So I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to do the arms, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do next. So hang tight. Okay, guys, we're back, and I went ahead and I bent up my wire. So what I did was I gave it a slight bend at the top for the shoulders, and what will go into the side of the skeleton, in which case I drilled a little hole and forced it in there. But then I bent it to give it elbows, and then I drilled a hole in the hands and pried them on there. But before I did that, I matched up the wires so that the bends were in the same general area. But of course, this is going to be posed in accordance to how it all plays out. I think I want to have him to be holding a staff, like in this hand here, or we'll decorate it and everything, make it look like primitive, indigenous. So now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, there's a number of ways I can go. You can go with the toilet paper and glue method, where you take some like Mod Podge or something and you mix it with some water, and then you rip off little pieces of toilet paper and then you paint it and then make a skin that way. Or you could do the corpsing method. Now the corpsing method wouldn't be done in a manner to show it as a corpse, as opposed to more of like a wrinkly skin, like maybe old. I'm almost seeing this as like an elder now. For some reason I'm starting to get a picture in my head of what this character is becoming. So looking at the eyes, I decided I was thinking about drilling out the eyes and then making some sculpty eyeballs with some glass cabochons, but I realized that these cabochons almost fit in there perfectly. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to go ahead and glue them in there after like I paint the eyes and trick them out a little bit, and then I'll glue these in there for his eyeballs. Now I have to make a decision on the head, because if I corpse this thing, it's going to leave me a very tight space. Now, when I did the mutated zombie deer, I had a little bit of a space to work in. This is going to be even a tinier space to glue little teeth in and stuff. I'm up for the challenge, though. I think that's the route I want to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind down these teeth here that he has. There's these buck teeth he's got in front, and then these little like canines, serrated teeth. I'm going to grind them down. I'm going to glue the jaw in the position that I want, and then I'm going to go ahead and corpse this thing. So one of the things that I'm going to do for the arms is I'm going to take a pool noodle, okay, and I'm going to cut a piece off. Then I'm going to cut it into strips and then cut it to bevel it to make it a bit round, and then I'm going to use that for filler on the arms and the legs, just to kind of bulk it out a bit. It's not going to make a difference because I'm going to build some robes and stuff for this guy after, which is going to hide all of this stuff, but it's just to give it some bulk, okay? It's almost the same way you make a 1/1 scale figure. So, corpsing, filling out the arms. So before I get into like painting or anything like that, I'm going to stop and come back, and I'm going to show you and explain to you exactly what I did. Alright, so let me get on it and we'll see you in a second. Alright guys, so I wanted to stop and get you up to speed as to what exactly I did here. Alright, so as I said, I took pool noodle and I cut it. Then I went and cut it up lengthwise to get me a strip like this. Okay, but I needed to get it to the size that I wanted or needed for this project. So with my scissors, I just went around and cut all the sharp edges and worked it around until I got to the size that I wanted. Okay, now the arms were easy because I hadn't glued them yet, so I was able to pop them out and take the wire and push it and work it through the length of the pool noodle up to the wrist of the hands. Okay, but I couldn't do that with the legs because they were glued at the hip and at the foot. So in that case, I take the my scissors and I push it into the center of the pool noodle and then just start to cut. Okay, and I already started this one, so I'm going to go up the length, push a little bit, cut, push a little bit, cut, push a little bit, cut, until I got the entire length. And then what you had here was that it was able to split in the middle. Okay, and then with this I was able to put it onto the wire, okay, like that. And so I attached some hot glue to attach it, all right, and worked it all the way up, and that's how I did the legs. Okay, now they're not pretty, it's blue, whatever. You're not going to see this, you're not even going to know that this is here. This is just for filler, so that you don't see the indentation of the wire when we put the clothes on this thing. Okay, because he's going to have some robes and stuff. Like I said, he's going to be like some kind of a elder species, like a mythical woodland creature species. Who knows, maybe we'll make up a story as we go along, or maybe you guys will make up a story about who he is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this. I'm going to put this last piece on there, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the corpsing and get this thing ready. Okay, I still got to deal with the mouth, but I want to corpse this whole thing first. So I'm going to corpse it, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk about what I do next. All right, hang tight. All right, guys, so this is where we're at here. I went ahead and I corpsed the whole thing head to toe. All right, and I glued and secured all of the joints and get it in its final position. The only thing I didn't glue was this arm. The reason being is because he's gonna hold a staff. Okay, and I haven't made that staff yet, so I don't know exactly how it's gonna play out. So I want to make sure that I can position and possibly bend this arm if I need to once the staff is ready to get put into this little diorama, if you will. Okay, so I went ahead and corpsed the whole thing, the whole skull. I stuffed plastic in the cavity to you know, fill everything in. I just wrapped the plastic around the lower jaw, upper jaw, and then where there was like gaps that I couldn't get the plastic in there, I went ahead and like used hot glue to fill it in. And then I took these brown glass cabochons. Okay, I think they look really cool. We're gonna get some real good photos for you guys to see this thing. So there you have it, guys. He's no longer that cheesy looking rat that you could buy in the craft stores and stuff like that. Now he's turning into a mystical type of a creature. Okay, maybe something of lore or something, or some kind of a fantasy creature. Maybe there's a whole race of these things. Anyways, so far, with what we've done so far, he is from the tip of his ear to about 18 inches tall now. It's pretty good, you think about it. But we're not done yet, okay? I've got to make his teeth. I'm going to do those out of Primo polymer clay. I'm going to do him a tongue, all right? And then I'm going to do his mouth, get the tongue in there, and then we're going to go ahead and start working on the rest of this thing. But for now, I'm going to work on those teeth and tongue, and I'm going to put them in there, so the next time you see it, that's going to be done. All right, so I hope you stick with me. I hope you try this, because it's actually pretty easy, you know, and it's recycling something that already exists, and to me it's making it so much better. Okay, so hang tight, here we go. Let's go. All right, guys, welcome back, and I did it. I worked on the mouth, okay, and the reason I corpsed around the jaw, upper and lower, was to adhere and fuse that plastic to the jaws, okay, and it'll give me something to glue to, plus it'll also give the interior of the mouth a texture. The tongue was made of polymer clay, Sculpting. All right, super easy. If you watch my mutated zombie deer tutorial, I show you how I make tongue and teeth. The teeth are Primo translucent, which is a Sculpting product. There again, you watch that tutorial, I'll show you how to do it. So I made a bunch of teeth, time consuming. I made the tongue and I popped it all in the oven, 275 for about 20 minutes. Voila, done. Then I painted the entire inside of the mouth first. You're going to want to do that. And I started with the black and red mixture, dark, and then I start adding lighter colors as I go on, okay? And then I went and meticulously glued in all the teeth. Now I have a wild boar skull, and I just come up with the idea of giving him some cutters. They call those cutters. You can also call them tucks, okay? This is not this is a species, a mystical species, so it's no longer a rat. Who knows what it is? But, you know, I'm making this up as I go along. So I glued all the teeth in. So once I was done with the mouth, I took some clear nail polish and I coated the whole thing to give it that wet look. And then I took my glue gun. I'll probably have to redo this because I'm going to be working on it. It might be popped. But to make some drips of saliva between the teeth, I took my glue gun and started a little bead on one of the teeth and then pulled it down to give it the look of drool between the teeth, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and paint this guy the color that I want, okay? And then we're going to start putting clothes on it, and then the last thing I'm going to do is put some hair, okay? So it's coming together. This is fun. It's repurposing, guys, and this, you can find stuff cheap at Goodwill and then repurpose it, turn it into something totally different. So paint, let's do it. Check back here in a second. Again, thanks for being here. All right, guys, let me just interrupt real quick. Check what I got. I just got it. This shirt, the Weird Kids Show. Embrace the weird. I love it. This shirt is so comfortable, and I can't believe that I've got merch now. It's a bit early, but who cares? I love it. Hopefully you'll love it too. I've already been getting some orders for this stuff, so if you want your very own Weird Kid t-shirt or a mug or a decal or whatever, I'm gonna provide a link down in the description for my store. Okay, go check it out, see if there's anything you like. If not, that's okay too. Let's get back to the build. And we're back. Okay, so pretty cut and dry, guys. I just painted it. I used a chip brush and a smaller brush to get around the eyes and stuff. Just paint the whole thing black. Okay, I think I want to go with a kind of like an elder. All right, with some grays, and because I'm going to add hair to this. Okay, but what we're going to do now, I just want to do a couple of swipes here for you in the tutorial on camera, so you can see if you guys, someone's starting out and they don't know quite dry brushing techniques yet and how effective a dry brush can be. This is going to show you. Okay, so I've just painted this whole thing black. It's still wet in some areas. You need to let it dry, but I see here on the chest, that's a good enough spot where I can go ahead and do a little bit for you here, and then we'll proceed from there. So I just took some of the black that I was already using, and then I poured me some just regular old white. Doesn't matter what brand. Okay, and I want to mix a little bit in with this black. I want to create like a charcoal first. We don't want to go too gray. Charcoal is a good color. Alright, now that I got some on the brush, I'm going to go ahead and wipe and get rid of a lot of this. Okay, I don't want too much. Alright, and then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to go ahead and swipe here. Not push it in there. I'm not painting it. I'm just kind of dusting it, like barely brushing it. Okay. And it's not going to look too much right now because this is just charcoal. Okay. So I just did a little bit there. You probably aren't even going to be able to see it too much, but it is a different shade now. Okay. But I'm going to continue, I'm going to do a coat like that, and I'm going to let it dry. Then I'm going to add even more white and start working up levels of grays until we get to the end. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this, and I'm going to explain to you what I've did, and then I'm going to probably do a little bit of the final dusting with you guys. Okay, so hang tight, we're getting there. Okay guys, this is what I got so far. Alright, now what you got here, like I said, I start off with black, painted flat black, started adding some white to the black, going from a dark to a lighter shade, building up, adding more white as we went along. Okay, and so once you start getting into the fine, you don't want to go heavy, just barely dust it. And then what I did was, after I was happy with the paint scheme, I went ahead and I took some territorial beige. Is another color I use quite a bit because you can mix different shades of this, and I added it to like the black and the grays, and just kind of come up with a earthy, darker color with some brown in it, just to show that it's actually skin. Okay, so what I went ahead and did, and I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more, is to just dust this thing, on the raised edges, to make it pop just a little bit more and to give it more of a natural skin look too. It's always a good color to use. See, it makes it look more organic. That's what I find anyway. So, all right, I'm gonna take some really good photos of this thing. We're gonna insert it in this video so you can see it when it's done. But he's there. As far as I'm concerned, he's there. Okay, I hope you can make that out pretty good. Now he's not that cheap $7 rat. Okay, now it's turning into a character. Okay, so I didn't have to paint the whole body because I envision this guy in like robes and stuff, like earthy robes, maybe a rope belt, with a staff, and I see him with some gray hair, maybe on eyebrows, some long hair, like a goatee, Asian style, you know. He's an elder, you know, a wise elder, so maybe he's a wizard in his race of mystical creatures, you know. Who knows? We can make up a story as we go along. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up because now I gotta start figuring out how to dress this guy, and there again we're gonna come back and I'm gonna explain to you what I come up with, because I don't even know right now, so I gotta start playing around with materials. Alright, so welcome to the creative process of the Weird Kid Show. We gotta get some sensors over there. We gotta get you dressed, kid, so let's get to that. Alright, hang tight, guys. Alright, guys, we're back. I got a little carried away. I got this dress in this thing, and I just got lost. I don't know if that happens to you, but I could have kept going, but I stopped myself, and I'm like, oh, I can't go too far ahead, and I may already have, I don't know, but I designed and dressed this guy, and I'm thinking, I kind of gave him like this medieval look, you know, primitive, you know. So I had some of this muslin material, and it had been in storage so long that it was already starting to get seasoned, if you will, or grimied up. So I thought, okay, that's perfect. It's like a muslin material. It would have actually been something that could have been used in the period. So what I did was I wrapped it around him, and now I know how to use a sewing machine, but currently I don't have a sewing machine. So what I do is I cut, you know, I draped it around it, and then I cut in between the arms, and then with hot glue you push the piece of material that attaches to the torso and glue it along the seams on the side hidden, and then I just took the other piece and brought it forward, folded it, and then glued that in place. So think about what you're going to do, and then that way it'll help you to decide where you can glue it to where if there is some separation in the seams, it's hidden. Okay, so I got his tattered undergarment on, and I had some of this, it's like a felt, I guess it's a felt, but it's got kind of a different property to it because it's kind of got a little bit of a fluff to it. Okay, and so I made him I guess you'd call it a tunic or something. I just folded it in half, cut a hole, and then draped it over him, and then I took some twine and I French braided him a belt, so continue with that earthy theme. I bought this black blanket at a thrift store for like a couple of bucks because I figured I could cut it up and use it for a lot of different things, and sure enough, his cape, it worked out perfectly in my opinion. And then I had some craft chain that I just glued on each side. That's what, you know, that's what's held around his neck. And then I also took some of that other felt material and I wrapped his legs for like just some wraps, and then with some leather rope I braided it around a little bit there. So there he is so far, guys. So now he's becoming a character. All right, to me he kind of reminds me of like it could be a Dark Crystal character, you know, or I don't know, but I like him. I like how he's turning out, and you guys can do this too, I'm telling you. And you might not see those plastic animal skeletons the same after this, and I'm hoping that's the case. I hope it's going to start a whole new trend of everyone wanting to try something like this, and it doesn't have to be with the rat skeleton. Alright, so there we're at. I might be adding a few things. I think he might have some pouches and just some different bells and whistles. He is going to have a wooden staff. I think that's going to be the last thing I do. But I think right now I want to start in on this hair. Okay, I've got some hair. I will show you after I put it on what the product is I use for the hair and then how I attached it. Alright, so I'm going to do that right now. We're going to give this guy hair. Alright, so hang tight. We'll see you in a second. Alright guys, here we are. The progression. I shared a picture of this with Vic Springston, one of my buddies and members of the Trio of Terror, and he said, "What are you trying to make, Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?" And I was thinking, you know what? Yeah, I guess he could pass as that, but that's not where I'm going. I'm starting to see this guy as like a kind of a shaman character. Yeah. So anyways, I put this is I get this product here. I found this at Goodwill. I seem to find this stuff all the time, and I guess it's like it's synthetic hair. It's like for a braid. And this one here had like salt and pepper, like white and black. So it was a good one. I have black. I could have just went with black, but I thought, you know what? Let's do like an elder, like a shaman type character. So what I have to do is when I put the hair on the head, okay, you could spend hours and hours and hours and hours like putting rows and gluing rows and rows and rows and rows. I found a little trick for the hair on the head, and that's to take the desired amount, okay, and then I tie it in a knot like this. Okay, this is sloppy. I'm usually more careful for this. Okay, so then I don't use the part where you see the knot. I use the rounded off bit right here, and I glue this on the top, so he has like a little bun type of thing here. Okay, but what that does is, now that that's attached to the head, I'm free to pull some down on this side of the ears and glue it down. I'm able to pull some over to fill in underneath the ears. I'm able to pull it and glue it at the top and pull it inwards. So this was laid on just like this, but with this little bun glued on the top, I can move all this in the back and from the side and manipulate it to fill in the entire top of the head. Okay, now the little Fu Manchu, I guess is what it's called, you know, the little goatee here, that takes a bit more time. Okay, and what I do is I will take a bit of the hair. Okay, I'll just take a little bit of the hair and I'll hold it, and then I take my scissors and I cut a straight line. Okay, now it's at this straight line. I want to put a little bit of glue around the jawline and then just push it on there. Just dab it once with your finger. You don't want to hold it. You're going to end up, it's going to glue to your finger before it glues to that. I promise you. I can tell you from experience. So you just do a quick dab and you let it sit. Okay, you're going to find that you're going to end up pulling a lot free. That's part of the process. You need to start over, cut a square edge, glue, press, one dab, and just keep going and keep pulling the stuff that comes free, and eventually you're going to get enough to adhere to fill in a beard. And you could do a whole beard if you want, or like this. And I thought about maybe even doing a braid in that, but I don't know, I kind of like the way he looks there. Now I'm not done. All right. You know, you can see how he's got like this little braided belt and all this and that. But he needs more stuff. You know, he needs like some pouches and maybe a satchel. He needs a staff. Okay. So we're getting near the end, but now is the part where what I like to say, we need to start tricking them out. Okay, so I'm gonna start doing that. I need to put the AC on because I'm sweating. I apologize. It's Florida, it's summer, it's hot. So I'm gonna get back on that, and then when we come back, I'll show you. It should be the final product. Okay, so I hope you enjoy, and I hope you stick around to see this bad boy finished. See you in a second. Alright guys, here we are. On the most part, he's done. Alright, he's done for this video, let's put it that way. But something like this it's a work in progress, you know. I'm happy with the way he looks right now. Okay, but that doesn't mean that, you know, down the road I don't add little somethings here. Like already I'm thinking I might have like a little satchel, like not a satchel but a little pouch over in the corner. There's always stuff you can add, you know, braid his hair, beads, the sky's the limit. Okay, this is your creation. For now, he's done. The staff is just, I had a piece of cedar from the cedar tree in the backyard, and I covered it with material, dry brushed it, and then I had this it's a raccoon jaw that I found on the side of the road. The buzzards had picked it clean, the ants had done the rest, and then the sun bleached it, so I just put it in some bleach, cleaned it, and then stuck it on there, and then put some synthetic fur and some twine for his staff, and now it's been glued into his hands, and then I just tacked it down here at the bottom with some hot glue. I might go ahead and add more to it. That's what I'm saying. You could do whatever you want in this case. But there you have it. I mean, it's a cheap rat skeleton. You know, the way it looked before, I was never a fan of it. It's not something I ever thought of having the impulse to put in my yard haunt. It was just one of those things. It's like mediocre, and you know, to me, I turned it into something cooler. You know, and you can do this too. In fact, I hope to see you guys do this. I hope this inspires you. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe and hit the bell. It's going to inform you when I upload future videos, and there's so much more to come. I promise you. I'm just getting warmed up here, guys. If you need to go check out my brothers in arms. Between myself, Keith from Cobwebs and Candlestick, and Vic Springston from Graveyard Creepers, we make up the trio of terror, and I encourage you, please support them. Go check out their channels. They're always building just like me. So there you have it, guys. Maybe down in the comments, tell me a story about this guy. Where is he from? Is he from our universe? Is it another alternate universe? Is he like a woodland creature, or who knows? Let's give him a name too. Put that down in the comments. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you so much, and until next time, peace.